and this is going to be slightly different to what we usually do, because we're actually going to share screen and have a presentation during this conversation. So I hope everyone will kind of bear with us technology wise, and hope everything runs through as smoothly as possible. But I have invited Eleri to join me today to talk through around the topic of alternative currencies, especially at the moment when the cash flow in the wider marketplace is being squeezed so tightly. Alternative currencies can be a real way of ensuring that we can keep earning and keep working. So I'm going to hand over to Eleri, and I'm going to introduce you to SIlva, which I think is phenomenal, and I think it's a great option for the therapeutic community. Eleri, thank you for your time today, and thank you for sharing SIlva. I'm just going to pass it over to you and let you run. Go for it.
Okay, hi everybody. Right, let me take you on a quick, deep and dirty route into the world of alternative currency and why I got involved, what it is, how it works, and the rest of it. So our business concept is known as SIlva, and we determined that it is the future of business. And we say this is not just a sort of any bold claim. This is based upon years and years of my own experience having worked in alternative currencies and having made millions actually through converting spare capacity, which is basically nothing more than business that you haven't got at the moment where someone is paying you in cash for. That's all it is. And I've actually used the platform of alternative currency, which is the same as cash. It has one of our tokens or one of our silver pounds. It's exactly the same as £1 sterling. And it goes into a repository, an account that you have, just as if you would spend cash with any other member, and you can therefore pay for goods and services that you've never had before, goods and services that you actually need, without having to pay cash. That's the thing. And all you've done is you've moved business that you've never even had before, other than being a member of this platform, from clients that you've never had before, other than being members of this platform. And you're actually able to use that cash, actually pay for other things that would cost you cash. So you're basically making money out of thin air, and you're using your goods and services to pay for things, to pay for your business expansion and to pay for all kinds of things. So just have an open mind, bear with me. It took me a long time to get comfortable with this concept, because it involved me having to really understand what is cash. And cash is only an accountancy record of basically a unit of currency. It just records a transaction. That's all it is. It's a way of recording value. So let me take you through SIlva, see what you think. I'm sure that David will have loads of questions, and I'll take you through also how it applies to one of my businesses. So hopefully that will help you. I'm going to skip through some of these slides, but if anybody wants a full copy of the slides, they're very welcome to have them, because they are, they go on a bit. Okay, so SIlva, the future of business. Let's go. Okay, so this is our vision and our purpose. So we want to be internationally recognised as the leader and gold standard in business-to-business trading, and it's reciprocal trading. So the whole purpose of this is to make businesses more sustainable, more future-proof, and to make sure that you're there in the next economy. And if we don't do something now, doom probably will befall all of us, because we know that the money is running out. We know that money is running out of our economy, and we know that everybody's chasing around for the same business, expecting people to pay cash for it, cash that businesses increasingly just don't have. And what do? They end up discounting. And what ultimately does this lead to? You're going to discount yourself out of business. So what we came up with was a pretty, interesting spin on bartering, but for the 21st century. So if I go on to the next slide, these are some of the business problems that you will face today. So in today's unstable world, business can't be taken for granted. And I think we can all agree on that. You've got a problem here. 20% of small businesses fail within the first year, and 50% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And that is without taking COVID-19 into account, which of course has been a massive thing for us. So these are some of the issues. You've got a lack of cash flow to pay business expenses, to grow and expand your business. You've got sales challenges. You can't get enough new sales in through the door. So you discount things. You discount. Why do you discount? You discount to attract new clients, don't you? But that actually reduces the cost of it reduces your profit margin. So it makes you less profitable, but you still got the same costs to generate that marketing campaign. So what you're doing is you're reducing your margin all the time. And obviously you've got growing instability due to macroeconomic issues. So these are the type of problems that small businesses have, generally speaking. And this is what, we've been working with small businesses for years. My business isn't growing. Cash flow is putting my business at risk. Cash flow keeps me from keeping a full inventory because I can't afford to buy stock. There's one common theme here you'll notice. It's called cash flow. So we came up with a solution. There's a quick slide there, by the way, on COVID. That wasn't included before, but obviously with COVID, I think this is a new problem that businesses have had now. A lot of businesses have just ground to a complete halt. Clients have literally just stopped trading. So we need something, and this is where we come into it. We need something to kickstart businesses. So what's the solution? Here we go. SIlva is a revolutionary new cashless business trading network. It's a network where you pay for your expenses with your own goods and services, which allows you to save cash and increase your profits. So it's similar to barter, but fits for today's digital world. We're dedicated very much to the prosperity of all our members. But more importantly, we're dedicated to sustainability. And this is some of the things it does. We have a network of people who use other businesses that are also part of the SIlva network. So you have access automatically to new potential customers. If you use SIlva, you will keep the cash that you've earned in your business. It'll enable you to pay for your own goods and expenses that you need to keep your business afloat and which you normally pay for in cash in your business without touching your cash business. It makes you more profitable because don't forget, by using SIlva, this is from business that you've never even had before. If you're using SIlva money to pay for things instead of cash, you're becoming more profitable because you'll be getting a whole influx of new clients. You'll also still be preserving that cash, hard cash now within your business. So it'll improve your cash flow tremendously. You'll get huge discounts on expenses and you'll be able to move excess inventory, which is all, phenomenal stuff that you'll be able to do. And it is really exciting, it really is exciting. I've used this for many, many years in my own business. So let me just tell you how this works. So this is a slide showing you what spare capacity looks like. So each business within SIlva network offers their spare capacity or goods and services at a SIlva price equivalent to the actual listed price, the actual cash price. So this is an example. You've got a restaurant, a shop, hotel, or professional services. They're all operating at nowhere near full capacity. The restaurant has got, maybe it's got empty tables. That's spare capacity in a restaurant. A shop, actually, anything that it hasn't sold is spare capacity. A hotel, an empty room in a hotel is spare capacity. Professional services, solicitors, accountants, tax advisors, consultants. Any time you don't have a client is spare capacity. And unless you use it, it will be lost. Yeah, you must use it. You must use it, because if you don't use it, it's lost forever. How often do you see or go around the high street today, if you still got a high street, that is? We don't in Bath, but you know, how often are we seeing things being discounted at the moment? 50% off sale. That's fine, but the seller of those goods still had to go to the retailer to purchase those goods, and it would have cost them some money. So what they're doing by selling things on sale is they're reducing their spare capacity. SilverTree enables you to still get that 50% cash, but still get the other half paid for in silver. So you're always going to get full value for your goods and services. So you get around, you don't have to discount any longer. So that is an amazing, amazing benefit. So this is how the business network actually works. SilverTree acts as a central resource with hundreds of different types of businesses all doing different things. And you could trade with any of these businesses. And unlike barter, where you have to provide somebody else with X amount of your goods in exchange for X amount of their goods, where you might have the problem of trying to fix the price and all kinds of things, you no longer have that, because actually you're buying services from the network. When you buy services from the network, and if you go into your overdraft facility, you then owe the whole network X amount of your own services. Let me give you an example of this, which might better illustrate this. This slide just tells you in brief that one silver trade pound is equivalent of cash at all times. So this is a really good trade example, a really basic trade example. So you've got a hairdresser there and an accountant, okay? So a hairdresser needs a set of accounts done. So the accounts are going to cost £600 each. So the hairdresser's got a choice. The hairdresser can pay £600 in cash, or, you know, and if the hairdresser pays £600 in cash, the hairdresser has to dip into its profits. But if the hairdresser is a member of SilverTree, the hairdresser can then pay the accountant to produce the annual account £600 in silver, keeping the hard cash earned in the profit account. So she's not even touching that. Let's go on to the next one. So what then happens? Now the accountant doesn't actually have to buy from that hairdresser £600 worth of hairdressing treatments. She can if she wants to, but she doesn't have to. But the hairdresser then owes to the whole network £600 worth of hair treatments. And it's up to the hairdresser when she does those. The hairdresser can say to people, listen, I'm not going to do something 100% in trade pounds. I'm going to do 50% in cash and 50% in trade pounds. It's entirely up to the hairdresser and the client who she's serving. So we really are as flexible as that. And don't forget, this is as well as and not instead of cash. It's an extra bonus on top of your cash flow, and this is in no way, shape or form designed to replace cash. This is just an added extra, a top up. So this is just a distillation for you of how this actually works in reality. I'm not going to go through this slide in detail, but it tells you about how in actual fact the hairdresser has actually got the accounts very cheaply. Although she's paid 600 trade pounds for it, the hairdresser actually has to pay a transaction fee of 5% in cash when she buys the services of the accountant, but we can go through that, a separate thing. But these are benefits generally. So, and this is, excuse me for the typo here, David, the benefits to the hairdresser, as we say, she's got legal work prepared at a discount. What that means is she's got her accounts prepared at a discount. She's conserved cash within a business. She's got access, and this is really important, to new business that she wouldn't ever have had before. She's got extra word of mouth advertising benefit. She's increased her turnover and profit. But the benefits to the accountant are exactly the same. Increased turnover. She's got more trade pounds. She can use that to go out and eat in the restaurant. Increased profit, extra word of mouth advertising, and reduced her spare capacity. Don't forget, The accountant is doing this at a time when she had no capacity. She's doing this at a time when she had no cash paying clients. So she wasn't doing anything else anyway. And that's really important to remember. So how does trade affect cash flow and profit? This is really important. So this is the dynamic before trade. So you've got profit and you've got expenses. Through SIlva, you've got that extra business, that extra 2 blue lines there that basically give you an extra trade margin. That adds and boosts your profit. You've done nothing for that other than join SIlva. That's all you've done. Most importantly, look what happens to after trade. Those 2 blue line dots go down. So your actual cash expenses get reduced dramatically and they stay in the bank. That's really important. I don't like this slide because I don't really understand it. For you, those of you who are very mathematically aware, you might get this better. But it's interesting. We all, we all interpret data differently, don't we? But it's meant obviously to show how SIlva through spending, through buying your business expenses using SIlva, you can conserve a lot of cash in your business. So I'll leave you. David probably understands that better than I do. So these are some of the member benefits. Okay, this is important. Get large discounts on your business expenses. The reason you get large discounts on your business expenses is this, because when you're spending SIlva, the cost of generating SIlva for you is probably not £1 to £1, because when you're actually going out to purchase goods and services in the marketplace, if you're a wholesaler, if let's say you run a shop, you go to your wholesalers and let's say you're selling a dress for £100. You might have bought that dress for £40. Your profit margin is 60%. So the cost of your trade pound is actually 40 pence in the pound. It's the same basically as what it would be in the cash world. You deduct basically whatever it would cost you to buy those goods and services, and what you're left with is your profit margin. So think of it. Your cost, that's why you get a large discount on your business expenses, because you can actually use to generate the trade pound. It only costs you 40p in £1, but you spend them on a £1 for £1 basis. If you don't understand that concept, don't worry. I didn't. It took me years to really get my head around that. But in actual fact, that is the case. But some of the other benefits were much more interest to me. That you realise and shift underutilised assets and stock. So if you go into a shop and you see it's got full of clothes, full of stuff, everything you see in that shop sits on the balance sheet as a negative. If you haven't sold it, it's no good to you. So you've got avenues open to you. You can sell it at a discount, but all that's doing is reducing your profit margin. But if you sold it with SIlva, you'd actually retain 100% value of your profit margin at all times. We give you an interest-free credit facility. So we give you an interest-free, that is important, interest-free overdraft facility to start you off, because we recognise that most people don't start off with a trading balance. You've got massive access to networking events. This is a ready-made, built for you, guaranteed customer interface, because everybody who's joined the network has paid to do so and wants to spend trade pounds. So they're always looking for new businesses to trade with. Why? Because they don't want to have to spend their cash. You can even, we've got down here, increased employee satisfaction. You can even have a related employee business account if you want to. With the no charges for that, you can move money between your main employer account into any employee account. You can pay bonuses to them if you like. They can then take advantage of the SIlva platform, and they can start buying things that they want. You can give more to your favourite charities if you so wish. We have a brilliant donation program, because charities, of course, are really suffering at the moment. Why not use SIlva to donate to charities? They can use it because they can actually run maybe their own fundraising event by paying in silver. They also get, if you make the donation through your personal account, 12.5% of whatever you've donated paid back to them through the gift aid scheme, through the revenue. So they would be really, really, really interested in hearing from you. And there are plenty of charities on Silvertree. These are some of our missions and values. I'm not going to bore you with these, but this is quite crucial to why we're doing this, because this is a long burner. We're not doing this to make vast amounts of money, and we will never be successful unless you are successful, unless you're using it, because that's not how it works. I was excited by the potential of creating a true resource revolution in the real sense of that word. I was intrigued by an economy that favoured the few and worked against the many. I was also intrigued by the interpretation that I learnt of the word cash or money or currency. All it is a unit to denote the value of a transaction. Indeed, it could be goats, if you wanted to call it goats. So I am really passionate about revolutionising the way we do business, creating real value and sustainability in business so that we can all be here and that we can work through not just this pandemic, but the next one to come, because no doubt there will be others to come. That we can actually ensure that everybody who has something to sell gets equal access to any marketplace, because at the moment they don't. If you just think how difficult it is and how costly it is to set up a business, to go and get a loan from the bank and then have the bank maybe foreclose on you, this is a fantastic way of limiting the cost of your expansion and even funding that cost through your own goods and services, rather than having to rely on very expensive bank loans. It's a different economy, but it makes you just as profitable, if not more profitable. So we have a SIlva Foundation. A bit about that. We give half of the fees that we charge. We charge a transaction fee of 5% on every purchase, and we charge that in cash. But we give back half of that to good causes in your local community. And we always want to hear from people with good causes that they want to support, because we think that's really important. Giving back is really one of the most important things that we can do. So I think that pretty much covers it. So who we are, we're a or you can read that yourself, it's all very boring, but we're a co-creation between entrepreneurs. I said I'd give you an example. I mean, we end on that. Thank you. I just wanted to give you, because I know, David, we were chatting earlier, that's the formal presentation over, sorry about the dross, but I'm sure you've got probably quite a lot of questions, but we were talking just earlier about what do I do on Silvertree and how do I work it. Now, I run a law firm called Maguire Mitchell, and we mainly focused on corporate stuff and contract building and that sort of thing. But what we were talking about, what we often do is we charge people half cash, half trade pounds. So we have our charge out rates, and people can pay half of that in trade pounds and half of that in cash, and we invoice people directly. So immediately they're saving half of the hourly rate or half of the fee. I have been known to do things depending on my capacity, 100% in silver. There is a great networking group called Love Entrepreneurs. I know that they charge 100% in silver. There are web designers on board, there are SEO developers on board, there are financial consultants on board, anybody who's trading something. And what basically intrigued me, and where I really cut my teeth in this business, was in property. You know, I was having difficulty shifting property because of the 2008 crisis, and I suddenly managed to sort of start shifting it in in this sort of currency, and managed to sort of save the value, preserve the value of over £6 million worth of property, which I bought using this currency, and then I sold basically in cash. So I cash converted. So this can be used for anyone who has an open mind, anybody that wants to become more profitable, anybody that genuinely wants to be in business in the next year, let alone 10 years. So I'm sure you've got questions. And as you know, I can witter on forever. So I apologise in advance.
Larry, thank you so much for that. I think, like you say, the whole point of currency, alternative currency, is not to replace the predominant currency. It's to provide that additional capacity in a way that allows the individual to carry on trading, carry on working, whether that's professional services, as you know, APA members would be in, or whether it's in kind of retail or other services. And what really strikes me as kind of power, the potential, is that you don't have to use this 100% of the time. It's literally just when you are have capacity that you're not using in any other means. And for the
exactly, for me, I mean, just to go back to the social venture of why I do a hell of a lot of work with people who are ex-offenders, people who come out of prison with nothing, who want to set up in business. I do a lot of work with people who are very poor, socially deprived, you know, and I help a lot of people. That's my mission statements in life. I don't have all the answers, but, you know, I'm somebody that had millions of pounds and I lost a lot of money in 2008 through investing in a Ponzi scheme. You know, and I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't obviously know it was a Ponzi scheme, obviously. But, you know, and my story went a bit like that. So I love this idea because really, for me, I had no money. So this was a real problem solver for me when I solved it. I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I thought, well, why can't we use this system to create money? I can't afford to go to restaurants because I don't have any money. But I know I have services that I can sell. And if I can generate money that way and pay to go to restaurants, I pay for my accountants. I had my website done. I had 3 websites done. In fact, I get my SEO done. I pay for networking, you know, and it's a growing platform. And what we do, one thing I haven't mentioned, is that we've decided to even take the brief further and set up a really, really, really good ambassador program whereby we share the signing up income. So the charge income that we charge, we have a one-off signing up fee of £175 a month and a monthly fee of £20 a month payable in cash, and £5 of that payable in trade pounds. And we share that with the person who's introduced the business to us. Because we want whoever comes on board to introduce to us their network. Why? Because we want immediately them to be able to deploy this system as a survival mechanism, really, to keep their network alive and to keep their business alive, which is why we've said to people, look, we understand that cash is king. We get that. We all run businesses. You don't have to trade 100% in our currency. As long as you're doing 10% in our currency, you can do the other 90% in cash if you want to. That's up to you.
And it's for APA at the moment, where we're seeing such a collapse for so many professionals across professional services, not just therapeutic professionals, coaches as well, because the ripple is hitting this sector that is being experienced by everybody else. So people that desperately need support services but aren't able to access them because of the cash flow that they're experiencing, this opens up that receptor for.
Let me give you an example from me, okay? Now, I have just taken on, okay, I'm starting new businesses. I haven't got loads of cash at all. I've got very little, which is why I use this all the time. I've got hair in my face, sorry. That's not supposed to be part of the script, is it? But I'm human. I've recently engaged the services of, I'm going through the menopause or perimenopause basically, so I'm very up and down a lot of time. And I've just engaged the services of a brilliant hypnotherapist, which otherwise there's no way I would have been able to afford her. I'm doing a 6-week course and already on anxiety specifically. I would have seen that before as a luxury. I can't afford to do it, so I wouldn't have done it. I would have suffered in silence. So that's an example. I've also got somebody to do massage for me because I suffer from, as I was telling you, I get a lot of stress on the back of my neck. That's another thing I would have deemed to be a luxury. Okay, these might not be huge amounts of money, 40 quid, 50 quid or whatever, but put together, I can now afford to do them on a weekly basis.
And that's the key, is the collectiveness of the network that allows you to build that client platform that, you know, even if you're only working within the network, within the currency, you're able to build up and reduce that kind of empty capacity that you're not getting anywhere else.
And you know what, the empty capacity, as you say, it's about trying to educate people to change the way they address and look at spare capacity. This is probably one of the hardest things to do. The best way I look at it is I look at time. Am I being profitable in that moment in time? Am I earning any money? If not, why not? Yeah.
And for me, when I found out about SIlva and the whole idea of using an alternative currency, you know, it's all, you know, the easiest way I can explain kind of my hook to this, it's a bit like, think of it as a foreign currency.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when you've got, you know, euros, you can spend euros in the places that receive euros.
Exactly.
And you can trade with those businesses exactly as you would if you were trading with businesses that received pound or dollars or whatever. And it becomes a lot easier to say, well, I want to support this community. I want to support this environment because it's keeping my cash flow secure. I'm not having to touch cash flow.
Exactly.
And it makes so much sense to me and to so many others when the world around us is experiencing cash flow shrink.
It's absolutely a real nightmare. It's a really important philosophical point and economic point here. The rich are getting richer and they're getting rich fast. Why? Because they own Microsoft, they own Google, they own Facebook. It's the plutocratic technocrats, as I call them. Forget the oligarchs, will all be, you know, they're plutarchs. You know, these people will own not just us, they'll own everything. They'll know everything we do and all our buying habits. How often have you guys been on the internet trawling around? You know, you see a nice skirt or whatever it is. Ooh, sale, fantastic. Next time you get onto the internet, that thing flashes up again.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that's not done by accident.
Yeah.
That's already mapping out the genome of how we behave. Now, I don't want, and I'm just as guilty about shopping as the next person, but I don't want to donate my whole life being to mummy and daddy Google. I want freedom and I will fight for freedom. I want freedom for businesses to proliferate and survive independent of government and independent of handouts, actually. For me, this is a resource revolution because it's business people taking business back into their own control and hands. As long as you can actually go off and spend this currency, I mean, people talk about, oh, it's a bit like Bitcoin, it's a bit like cryptocurrency. No, it is not, because cryptocurrency, this is not cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency isn't underwritten by anything at all. It's underwritten by air and rumour. And that is exactly what is wrong with our economy today, because how does stock exchange value get created? It gets created through rumour, market rumour, which boosts share price, which then induces brokers to invest in it. So
And insider trading on intelligence and
absolutely.
everything else. And
Underwritten, they took away the gold standard in 1927, I think it was, so, or maybe it was a bit later than that, but they took it away. So there is nothing underpinning our actual cash currency.
Yeah.
We've got people out there in the stock exchange making billions betting on futures.
Yeah.
Futures are exactly what they are, the future.
Yeah, and it's gambling on perception and interpretation of information.
And this enables people to say, I might be poor, I might have a rubbish credit rating, I might, for example, have been to prison, but I want a second chance, I want to set up a business, or I might be having a really shitty time in my business and have no cash flow at the moment, so I'm going to have to, let's give a real example, right? L.K. Bennett left, I live in Bath, L.K. Bennett left the high street. I think they might have got into administration, I'm not sure. What did L.K. Bennett spend the last 6 months doing on the high street? It spent the last 6 months discounting everything 75% off. Had L.K. Bennett joined Silvertree then and actually kept everything at full value, they could have got 100% return on their investment. Okay, they would have got 25% cash, but 75% in silver. They could have used that 75% silver to have negotiated with the council to pay part of their rent in silver. They could have actually got all their graphic design, all their SEO, all their social media marketing, all their online sales, and all their web development developed and done in silver. And they could have negotiated their supply chains in silver. Did they do any of that? No.
Yeah.
Why? Because they have not understood what is currency. Currency is only a facility or a way to record value.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And when we start discounting in professional services, we reduce the perceived value of that service.
Exactly, because you'll never get it back again. It'll be like, oh yeah, but I went down the road to see John, and John think for 25 quid, that 25 quid cheaper. If you discount, you reduce the psychological imbued value of the real value, and that is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, and what I truly believe is with psychological value is the more psychological value the professional has of their own worth, more they present and instill value in others that they work with. And
absolutely.
And as soon as you're able to say, well, my cash value is X, and that's what I want to receive, but I can break that down in various different ways. And whether someone's receiving payment in cash, credit card, check, as the traditional ways of breaking down that receipt of that value, you're adding an additional method of payment. Whether
the other thing to think about is this. I think you touched upon something really important. With a lot of therapeutic treatments, a lot of people think of them as some sort of, they don't see them sometimes as necessary. They see them as something very, especially with massage and things like that, or for me now with my hypnotherapy, they see it as something, the preserve of the rich, if you like, so all the middle classes, those who can afford it. I see it as the preserve of the absolute bloody necessary. But,
and the strength to be the strength of character and self-value to say, this is support that my existence requires.
Yeah.
Is one of the most empowering things that we can as individuals give ourselves.
I mean, another organisation that I do a lot of work with, or I take counsel from, and I'm just one person, I set, basically, in plain English, I set this up along with many other entrepreneurs in Australia. In fact, we're launching 4 networks now, one in Bali and Indonesia, one in Australia, one in Canada and the UK. And we've known each other for over 30 years. And we're all very socially motivated. We've all been through making millions, losing millions. Some of us have made millions back again, So but we've known each other for a long, 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 long time, and we've all sort of come back together, which is beautiful, actually. For me, this is the way, unless you're going to get universal currency given to everybody, this is a leveler. This is a way of leveling that playing field, giving equal access to anybody. Anybody can join this platform as long as they've got a legitimate business and something to sell. We're not interested what colour you are, what creed you are, whether you like yellow, green or pink. I don't care. I care whether you've got something to sell. And
it's very human, isn't it?
It is really it's just going back to basics. But what we recognise too is if you just do a simple bartering system, you're limited then to that sort of coincidence of needs. So if I don't, go back to that example with the accountant and the hairdresser, you know, the accountant is not going to need, let's say the accountant was male and he was bald. You know, he's not going to need that many haircuts, right? You're better off with the, you know, with the female accountant. I'm sure she can highlights her hair extensions and she could blow 600 quid quite quickly. But, you know, do you know what I mean? So it just, what we've done, we've tried to reduce that problem. But this is based upon, and I can't tell you enough, this is really based upon my actual own poverty experience.
And that's the key, isn't it? It's solution-based from lived experience and understanding of system. And when we look at professional services, invariably the best solutions come from that pathway, rather than let's reframe what the traditional picture is and keep the traditional picture but put a new frame around it. And you know, someone said to me yesterday, and again today, actually, earlier this morning, APA is very, very radical in its humanistic approach. And I think it's true that as an organization, by saying, let's open up the conversation around alternative currencies, that's pretty radical within this arena. And I think when we take it, as you beautifully unpacked it this afternoon, it doesn't actually look that radical when it's the core. It's what is the basic.
It's really not that radical. What is amazing, what I find quite interesting when I talk to people about this, it shows me how far, you know, they've been brainwashed by standard capitalism.
And this isn't about...
You've been taught to deify, to worship at the altar of glorified capitalism, where we actually suddenly think that futures is a great product. I mean, let's be absolutely honest. Who in their right mind would think it's a great idea to bet? You know, if you went to your career advice person in school and said, I want to be a futures broker 20 years ago, they'd have said, what on earth are you talking about? How can you bet on the future? Nobody's got a crystal ball, is what they would say to you. And actually, the truth of the matter is that answer is true, just as truthful today as it would have been 20 years ago. And yet, what is seemingly the majority of people's pension portfolios, of bank investments, what do they go into? They go into futures and options. They go into forex trading, which is betting on a price increase in the future.
Yeah. And this brings it back, as you say, this brings it back to the individual, the tangible, the core of relationships between people in the network. And as the network, as you say, and I think it's phenomenal, and congratulations on having the network now expand internationally. And I think
I want to go on holiday to Bali. That's the only reason. I can't afford to go on. Well, I can't go on to the coast. But I ski. I love Canada, and I can't afford to pay for very expensive flights. So I'm really hoping that we're going to get some amazing holiday destinations in Canada and Bali in particular, and possibly Australia. You know, but I can't stress enough, David, the importance of explain to your members that. Be open-minded and be willing to investigate. Contempt prior to investigation is the single most and I do it all the time, incidentally, negative trait any human being can have, because you know what? I've seen businesses flourish on silver tree. I mean, I know money doesn't grow on trees.
Mm.
I've seen businesses grow on silver. Why? Because they've started off with no money. They've had brilliant business ideas. They needed to pay for graphic designers. They didn't have any cash, so they paid for them in silver.
Mm.
They got websites built. They
Yeah.
got marketing material done. They had PR agents, and suddenly they're up and running.
Mm. Yeah.
It's a similar, I mean, I really like, for example, the concept of Fiverr, you know, but the one, I think it's a brilliant idea. I really, really do. And it's great. But I like the idea of, what really fascinates me about this is the creation of something from nothing.
Yeah.
It's there. It was always there in front of our eyes, but we were looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
We all have assets, even if we don't have access to loans. Many of the people I mentor, ex-offenders and people who come from poor backgrounds, I mean, and, you know, I consider myself, I don't mentor them, they mentor me, actually, just as importantly, you know, because I've lost all my money. And so I didn't have any money, so I created my own. Now, of course, you know, you can just imagine, you know, traditional businesses and regulators will be like, oh, well, what about the FSA? What about this? What about, you know, the FSA and the HMRC love this. Why? Because it's transparent.
Yeah. And it's keeping cash flow moving.
Because I should add, one thing we haven't touched on is this shows up in your balance sheet as income. So you will be paying tax on this. But with everything you pay tax on, you can always use as a business expense. So it cuts both ways. So if you're clever about it, you could run up all your business expenses in silver, and you can offset them against the cash. So you could, you know, walk away with the cash. And that's how people do use it, which is brilliant. And it's all, I mean, there's nothing illegal or wrong about this. You know, I'm a huge belief in keeping things above boards. And the reason the revenue like it, because it's innovative. What you're doing is you're keeping the cash, you're keeping cash within the community. You're helping businesses grow, thrive, and survive. And you're hitting that sustainability node.
Yeah. It's being done within empty capacity.
Exactly.
And that's the key. You're maximising that capacity time, that window where otherwise that perishable good that we know as time is able to be used. And you're in control as the professional providing that service or that product to decide when is that time. So it's not a case of, you know, an alternative that rides over everything else. It's not something that is a difficult sell because the network is already in place. What we're looking to do is say to the therapeutic community and all of the therapeutic community is, here is a means of which you can benefit in that empty capacity.
Here is a means of doubling your profits. There's no question about it. You know, there is no reason on God's earth why. And let me just be very clear about this, because this is not to take over from cash business or to be instead of. This is well as and not instead of cash. You know, I'm a huge believer, you know, we have to have cash. What I don't like is it's become the preserve of so few people now. And we're going to see so many businesses go out of business very, very quickly and very soon. And we have got to do, it's our duty to do something.
Yeah, we can't wait for, and you know, members and those in the therapeutic community will understand this. We cannot wait for the external provision to get right for what we need now. We have to do this, what's inside, what's inside. And yeah, looking at this as an alternative currency, think of it as euros, think of it as dollars, think of it as where you are opening up your marketplace to those currencies that currently you wouldn't be able to access.
I have to tell you that my other experience with it is that I actually, and certainly it is with Maguire Mitchell, we've doubled our cash profit as a result of being members. because sometimes we just say to people, we haven't got capacity, and they'll pay us in cash anyway. And
Yeah.
these are all clients we got through Silvertree.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is the flexibility remains with you as the recipient of that silver cash. So, or silver pounds, should I say. Eleri, thank you so much for your time to go through this, and I hope everyone that has been able to take the time to kind of join us and watch this back.
I just want to say, I mean, we'll be inviting people to we're running webinars on this, which I'll let you know about, and any of your people, because I think they should come along. You should inform yourselves about this.
Yeah.
Don't make snap decisions that it's not for you until you've really interrogated it inside and out, because it made me a lot of money and it will make me a lot of money again. But I don't want to keep that secret forever. I want other people to take advantage of it. And I want to, actually, in a way, we want our, you know, as our legacy as a business, we want to sort of really do our bits to change the face of business forever. Because if we don't step up and stand up for what we believe in, we're all going to be run by Google and Microsoft.
Yeah, and this is very much what we're seeing in the therapeutic sector. Some professionals are seeing a huge uptake of business, and others are seeing a huge downturn of business. And those that have got empty capacity, this is a way that you can access clients that are already attached to Silva in order for you to get working, earning, and keep doing what you do best. Not worrying about the financials, worrying about the client, making sure the client is getting the best service possible, because there are people in the network that will reach out to you because they're struggling of cash flow. So people that would come to you if they could, can't because of cash flow. This takes that hurdle away and makes you their go-to professional. That is the best marketing place for you to be in.
Well, it's a great, as you said, it's fantastic networking. It's like networking. We've got our own networking groups for Silvertree, and very excited about this. Well, I'm very excited because I've got to get rid of all my wardrobe clothes, because we're going to have an auction site coming on board. That's the next development phase, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to get rid of pretty much most of my clothes, because
that's because you are doing a huge amount of self-care, probably for the first time.
Shopping arena. What you mean? or is the self-care giving away my clothes? Yeah, the self-care is probably giving away my clothes. So I need.
Or giving them away because you've been doing the self-care, which means you need to replace. I'm up there for thinking. I want to thank everybody that's been able to watch, and I hope you found it useful. If you've got any questions, by all means, in the description on the video, you'll have the contact details. By all means, reach out. As Eleri says, do the research. Get comfortable with how this works and how you can benefit from it before making any snap decisions. And as for APA, we have this week released our end of year newsletter. Head to the website, check that out, and we will see you, hopefully, on another episode of In Conversation With very soon. But now, take care.